All right, hey, this is Man Fused. I am Kay Lee, audio producer, voiceover artist, sitting here with my co-host Ben H.
What's up?
Real estate mogul, coxman, and a crooner.
Luck be a lady tonight.
That you heard it. I mean, who won't get wet when they hear that?
Stay with me, baby.
Tonight. Today we're going to talk about a business that you started many years ago. It was called Zodiband. And you had created these zodiac bracelets based on astrological signs.
That's right.
But the actual bracelet concept was born from the KIA bracelets.
Which means killed in action.
Which was based on a brother in arms you lost in Iraq.
Right.
And his name was?
Lunsford Brown.
And so he was killed in the line of duty, is that what you said?
At Abu Ghraib.
In the
prison. And we mentioned him on the Abu Ghraib podcast.
Yes, a few episodes back.
Don't worry about it. Kaylee, a dog just barked. And it's enough to send him away. Don't worry about it. Listen, anybody listening to the podcast, you must know, at occasion you might hear a chair squeak. There may be a dog bark.
I hate imperfections.
He's the perfectionist audio magician.
You wore after your buddy was killed in action, and it garnered so much attention on everywhere you went. People would ask you about this particular bracelet. And I guess if I had to describe it, it was like a cuff bracelet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a simple piece of flat metal that is basically bent in a way, so it's like a cuff link. It's like a link bracelet. Point being, we have in the Army KIA bracelets, WIA, wounded in action, lost in action. We have all these different bracelets. A number of us wore a KIA bracelet because we lost our good friend, Lunsford Brown. And when I got out of the military, I went to Buckhead, Atlanta. And so I was out socially often. And, we did a lot of events. I mean, everywhere I went, people would ask me about the bracelet. And it was interesting because the war was still going on, and it was an opportunity to talk about it. And then people really had questions, and they wanted to talk about it and stuff like that. The design of the bracelet was such that it inspired a conversation ultimately about the war, which was still happening at the time. My experience in that war and, or maybe what happened to my friend or whatever. I mean, it was a topic of conversation that people were interested in discussing. And I think initially that was a good thing, although that wasn't the point of wearing the bracelet. When you're in the Army and you're wearing the bracelet, it's to honor your brother. People aren't really talking much about it other than it's just something that you're wearing. But when I came back to the civilian world, so it caught my attention. And I thought to myself, it's interesting because I'm wearing a watch, I'm wearing a chain, I'm wearing other bracelets, I'm wearing clothes, a belt, shoes. I'm wearing a whole outfit. Yet the same thing that people continue to ask me about is that particular bracelet. And so I thought, what could I put on the bracelet which could inspire more of a positive conversation between people, which could encourage people to maybe connect on a deeper level, which could encourage a conversation between people, a basis for which to discuss themselves.
Right.
And to be a conversation starter.
And that's one thing we all have in common, whether you give a fuck about astrology, zodiac signs, everybody's got one.
Well, so I thought of a lot of different things, I mean, think about it. What kind of things are there out there? I mean, there's letters. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. I mean, theoretically, you could just put a letter there and be like,
put your name.
What does that mean?
Like at a gas station.
That's the first letter of my last name or whatever. You know what I mean? There's colors. You could have, different colored bracelets, and people say, oh, what's that? Oh, it's my favorite color. What's your favorite color? I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of
I like mauve. Mauve's my favorite color.
Could be a Chevrolet symbol.
Yeah, right?
I'm a Ford man.
Yeah. I'm a Dodge guy.
Yeah, so anyway, I came up with zodiac signs because I don't know, man. It's just interesting. It's an interesting topic. My sister, May, super into astrology and astrological meaning and, the alignment of the planets and the universe and the universal energies and how energies change and shift and what that means. And so she was always an inspiration to me on this line of thinking, which involves zodiac signs, astrological signs. And so I thought that would be a good topic. And the more we dug into it, my original partners in the business, shout out to Dee and Leon, were both my battle buddies in Iraq. And when I had this idea, I brought it to them and I said, look, we can do this. Like, let's do this together, right? And we figured it out. Something about the simplicity of the design of the bracelet drew attention. It causes people to ask questions. And so I wanted it to be something that would be really cool to talk about. So we call it Zodiband. We rolled it out. We had a bunch of bracelets manufactured. It was a long road. It was tough.
You had to go through finding people to make the right box.
Yeah.
Going back and forth with people in China.
Yeah.
To design the bracelet and to perfect it. You had them in stainless steel, and you had
316
had them in a black titanium.
Which is the same thing they make Rolex out of.
Was it a black titanium, or was that still stainless steel?
316L, but it was surgical stainless steel.
Right, which is the same stuff they use in body jewelry.
Exactly.
But how did you get the black color to it? Do they oxidize? It's like
it was it was like a curing process.
Okay.
And you have a black one that you've worn for 10, 12 years and still
it still holds up.
Rough, but it looks cool. It's almost patina.
I banged the shit out of that.
Yeah,
thing.
you did.
But
I've still got some of the originals.
We went to Atlantic City.
That was crazy.
Where artists go to die, as we said when we got there. They had their performers. We're checking into the hotel, and they have their performers. You're like, God, these are some
everybody's
C-list fucking talent.
Like on the side of a billboard, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, the kid from the Wonder Years that used to live next door or something.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
The guy that takes out the Wonder Years trash.
Yeah.
So
doing a, star appearance.
So this actually, and I would like to get into this because this podcast, this episode, I think might be about the resurrecting of this company under a different name. Now, Zodiband came to a tragic ending.
Yes.
You guys it was starting to take off. You were starting to sell the shit out of it.
A lot of them.
Person to person, but also the website. There's a huge market for astrology followers and people who track and pay attention to their symbols and what that means and other symbols. And one of the business partners that you took on was a guy that you were working for.
Yeah.
And he had funded some money towards the project because we
needed to raise capital for inventory. We had demand for 10,000 bracelets at the time. We only had a few hundred. I had a retailer that committed to a 10,000 bracelet order, but we had to show, we had to deliver it, right? I mean, so we were working through that, and we were talking to multiple retailers at the time, and we had gotten a commitment from one, but there are terms to that commitment.
You have to be able to show that you can keep up with the demand of it.
And thankfully, I mean, the depth of research that Leon did to find the people that we manufactured with was awesome because they could scale and they were ready to scale to any extent. And we had the formula down with them, And so, we placed the order. We had to raise capital to place the order. And this person offered the money in exchange for ownership in the company. And we did a deal that we probably shouldn't have done, which gave him a greater deal of ownership than we had, but with the ability to buy him down from that ownership. And, look, it was what they call a fatal mistake.
Well, you had
some
no
mistakes
idea.
in business are fatal, meaning it kills the deal.
So you had a relationship with this person on he was your boss.
I was a marketing person at the time. I had a marketing company called Core Tactic. And what we would do is we would help you find the core demographic of your business and not only provide your clients what they want, but also go out and find more of those people that fit within that demographic. So anyways, this guy was a financial planner, financial manager, and he wanted my help, and I was able to really help him. I mean, I did help him. I helped him gain a lot of clients. Now, what he did with their money, unfortunately, was not good, and he got in trouble for it, big trouble with the SEC. And unfortunately, when claiming assets, our company was one of the assets which he claimed with the SEC. So there's nothing we could do. They seized the bank accounts. They seized everything.
Think back and express to me this, because this guy was also your friend. So whether you were a client because you were working with him, you had an office within his office. Mm-hmm. You think from the statements he's giving the clients, that he's doing really well for them. You think he's got some algorithm that he claims is like...
Well, it wasn't only that either, man. I had a lot of really, really smart people within the financial industry who were very, very know a hell of a lot more about it than I did, because my objective and my job was to connect him with whoever it was that he needed to be connected with in order to help him raise as much capital as possible. So I was playing the connector between him and some very, very smart people. And it was their belief in him that caused me to believe, you know what I mean? That he was doing the right thing, that he was a very talented person, that, you know, that things were really
on the up and up.
I mean, if this guy's as good as he says he is, and then I've got all these other people verifying, yeah, this guy's the real deal.
Right.
And getting behind him as well.
And yeah, you tried.
And it's my job. I was at 1099, so paying hourly, like $150 an hour. And this guy's got me booked, 20 hours a week.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
That's great money when you're 27 right out of the Army.
So you think everything's on the up and up, and you show up to go to the office one day, the doors are locked?
No, I was actually driving down the road. You remember John, our trainer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when we were seeing him a lot?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this was 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Right.
And I had just gone and trained with him at his, what was that place? It was like south of Atlanta.
John Lewis,
man. Shout out to John. What's up, bro?
This guy could make a parking lot be like a workout torture zone.
Yeah, and he had this place that was just, and I mean, he would just freaking smoke your ass.
Oh, yeah. You'd be
for an hour.
You'd be high-kneeing it down some train tracks with glass and syringes all over the place. You're like, don't fall, you might get AIDS.
It was gnarly. You remember that SL55 I had, that AMG car?
Yeah.
This is a big part of the memory because I remember it. I had the top down. I had just worked out. I felt great. It was like 7:30 or something in the morning. So it was early, right? The sun's like coming up. I'm driving through downtown Atlanta in the AMG car.
Right.
I'm just feeling good, man.
Life is good.
Life is good. And Brandon calls, who we'll get on the show. We got to get him on the show. But Brandon calls and he says, "Don't go to the office." And I said, "Why?" And he said, there's yellow tape up. Just don't go to the office. And look at the cover of the Atlanta Journal. Just look up Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So I look it up and it says like the name of the company that I was working with, assets seized in Buckhead or something like that. And it had a picture of the front of our office with like crime tape around the outside of this corporate building in Buckhead. Gnarly. And I was like, OMG. So obviously I went home. The preceding months unveiled that since we had done that deal, we had only sent money for half the order because you pay first half up front and you pay the second half. I think it was like $50,000 for the order. We had paid out like $27,000 or $28,000. It was like 50%. And we had, I don't know, 50, 75, something like that sitting in the bank account because we had raised $100,000. Whatever we had in the account, which was to pay for the remainder of the order, was seized because his name was on the account. And he claimed the company as an asset, even though technically we had not filled out the corporate documents. He turned the corporate documents over.
Huh.
So they had the corporate documents. I actually asked him about that. It's like, listen, we did make an agreement, and the agreement's exactly, it was like this.
Because you had to be interviewed by the SEC.
Oh, yes. And so I told him about the agreement, obviously, that we had made. But the truth is that part of the agreement was that we were going to signify the agreement by signing documents and distributing stock and things of that nature, and we had never done that. He had the corporate documents. He was supposed to do all this stuff, fill all this stuff out so we could all sign it and stuff like that. We never signed on the deal. And they said it doesn't matter, it was implied because the money changed hands.
So
anyways, we were pretty much dead in the water because they had seized the funds, but more importantly, we could have done without the funds. It's fine. They said, look, any revenue that's to come from this business will go to paying back people that this guy defrauded.
You had gotten your father to invest some money because you thought...
Well, I didn't get him to.
No, but you didn't necessarily sell your dad on the idea, but your dad...
My dad he wants to know what his son is up to. What are you doing?
Right.
You know, I'm doing this thing. He wants to come meet the guy. He comes and meets him. He's like, shit, I'm going to put some money with him. This is a really sharp guy. So he put a little bit of money with him, and a lot of people did. One time, a guy who I still know now, he's a business mentor of mine. I won't mention his name because he would probably prefer to stay private. When I was 28 years old, wrote a check, which was my sale, basically. It was me bringing him on as a client, right? That was part of my job, was to go find people. He wrote a check to the name of the company for $1 million and handed it to me. Said, look forward to working with this person.
If you will, tell me how you felt.
Yeah.
Must have felt betrayal.
It was deeper than that, really. I mean, it was certainly betrayal. It was all those things on the face value. At its face, it was many things which you can say with a word, you know. All of those things combined becomes something completely different. And the truth is, I wasn't mad at him. I felt bad for him that this was the truth. I really felt bad for him. I mean, I was upset, but even more present for me than my anger or my disappointment was just, I hated it for him. I was like, dude, I can't believe this. And when we found out about it, I invited him to my house, dude. I was like, Ben, just come over and talk to me, dude, you know? And I walked him out in my backyard. I think he thought I was going to like beat him up. He was so nervous. I would never do that. But I talked to him and I was like, dude, what is this true? And he said, yeah, it is. I said, all of it? And he said, yeah, all of it's true. I was like, dude, I can't believe this. And he's like, I'm so sorry. You know, I mean, what do you do, man? What do you say? I mean, it just...
He did it to himself, whether
he
intentionally or not.
He lost everything. I mean, he had 5 kids and a wife and a beautiful house. I mean, he lost everything.
Went to jail.
Yeah, he went to jail. I mean, he lost his whole life. Dude.
His reputation.
Everything, dude. It was this huge embarrassment. He's a big guy in the community. I mean, you know, it was just horrible. But the point is that our company got bogged down with that bullshit. And it was sad because it was hard to accept. And in a way, we don't accept it, but it's just the truth, you know?
Right. It's the reality of it.
The reality of it. And so the idea is still alive.
And now it could be rebranded, repackaged, resold with even more updates. I can envision a whole app.
Yeah.
Connecting to the cosmos, astrology.
Dude, technology has come so far since when we did this, and I think that the simplicity of the design of the bracelet itself is something that is our hallmark, but we want to use different metals. We want to use different materials. We want to use different ways of ceramic coating things to get really neat colors and all different types of things. And then we also want to include a connectivity and an interactivity between technology with the piece itself, so that it's almost like a digital business card, but that also it has a portion of it which is very more than astrological, but astral. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Where you actually can explore into space and, you know, to the different things. And it's just a really neat story, man. I mean, it's the story of time. If you look at the astrological chart, it's a story of time. It is 12 constellations split up into 12 equal 30-day periods, basically, as the Earth turns. And so which came first, you know, the 12-month calendar or the astrological calendar? The knowledge that comes from that, it's very all-encompassing, and it sounds kind of like wizardy or whatever. But it's beautiful. It's the universe. It's the natural time. It's people's observation of their natural experience. And it's really cool. We learned a lot. The new Zodi idea, this will be much more aggressive from the perspective of the quality. And we want to do everything here in the United States. So everything will be manufactured here. I want to be able to do custom pieces too. Like you could literally order a gold one with diamonds in it.
Build your own from the website.
Could possibly do that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, customize what you want from the website.
Absolutely.
Or offer a select. For each astrology sign, you'll have a couple ways to customize it high end.
Yeah, and it's not just the astrology sign itself, it's the element of that sign, because there are 4 elements, and so each sign has one of 4 elements as a trait of that sign. Like there's fire sign, water sign, earth sign, air sign. And that kind of tells a story too, because in that sense you're related to 2 other signs.
Right. Who you're compatible with.
In a way, maybe you're compatible, maybe you're not. I mean, the truth is, it's interesting how when you read these personality traits, when you read the traits that follow along with these types of things, it's just interesting. And they have all types of documentation on interactivity between people. I mean, look, everybody knows zodiac signs, right? But I mean, the point is that, it's something that we can all relate on in a positive manner. Maybe you believe it, maybe you don't, maybe it's just kind of funny, but whatever, doesn't matter.
Right. It's a cool bracelet that kind of connects people together.
If somebody asks you what that is, I mean, isn't that what we're looking for? I mean, ultimately, that's how you peacock.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful bird.
I got a peacock chest. I love my peacock chest.
That bird chest. Put that bird back in the cage.
Yeah. I see the vision, and I saw what we were starting to do. I saw what you guys were starting to do.
Well, you were a part of that one, too, and you definitely are part of this one. You already are a part of it. So,
and I think with the name that you're throwing around, Zodi-Link, which I really like.
Zodi-Link.
And so, the SEC might have gotten Zodiband.
Yeah.
But they won't touch Zodi-Link.
But they ain't touching Zodi-Link because we're doing this one right, man.
Right.
You do it organically and you do it in-house and you do it right. You do it one thing at a time. If you have to raise capital, that's a good problem to have, but, you just have to do it properly.
The team that we would be assembling, I think everyone is in a better financial place than they were when you first started it.
For sure.
So you're more established.
Yeah.
I'm more established. D and Leon.
Leon was so integral in Zodiband, dude. He really was the one that built the company. Ultimately, I came up with the idea, and we all worked together. And D did a lot, too, and you did a lot, too. But Leon was kind of like the anchor for that deal. He put a lot of time, and he put a lot of money into it. It was really sad to see what happened with it. It was heartbreaking, but it's a strong team, dude. It's a really strong team because of the talents that each person has within the team really lend itself to be able to build something awesome. And I know everybody is excited about it. So
I think that is something that our audience, as we build it for Man Fused, but the audiences of people who follow astrology.
Yeah.
Have something to look forward to.
Well, it transcends a lot of topics. You could be a Christian or a Muslim, for example, but you're a Taurus and I'm a Taurus. That's kind of cool. One of the funny things about life to me is how we have all these things that we identify with, which divide us amongst one another as individuals. And I don't know if that's necessary or if it's implied or if it's just something that's like forced upon us in society. Because I can find a common ground with anybody, dude. Anybody. I don't care what religion you are, what sex you are, what
color you are,
what color, sexual preference. None of that, dude. None of that. It doesn't matter to me. I just love all people like that. You know what I mean? Even in Iraq, when I was interviewing people in my role there, I made a lot of friends doing that. Or people I just, you become friends with somebody in one conversation kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a friendly conversation, and I saw that person's perspective, and I saw that person's love for their family, and I saw that person's heart that they wore on their sleeve. And, there's so many things that divide us. To me, that's why we decided on the zodiac sign, because it transcends so many other things. You can't argue with it. It just is what it is. Even if you don't believe in it, whatever, you don't have to believe shit. It's just a fun thing. I still believe in the idea. And I believe in sometimes success happens in the midst of failure.
Absolutely. It's given you time to space yourself between that moment in your life and now.
Right.
You weren't married then. You didn't have a wife then.
That's right.
You have a family now.
Which my wife, by the way, was one of the best Zodiband salesperson. She was the best salesperson that we had.
Oh, yeah. She had a hair business.
Crush it.
She was
selling them at her hair salon.
Yeah, I mean.
In the parking lot and come home and like give me cash out of her bra in the evening.
Has some boob sweat on it.
I'm like, dude, God has blessed me with the perfect woman.
Boob sweat bills. God has made it rain with boob sweat bills.
That's right. I was like, oh no, I'm marrying her.
Yeah. Baby, I want to be with that boob sweat.
Shout out to Jennifer.
What up, Jen?
Gonna be good. Zodi-Link.
This is Man Fused.